And this is KC9VKV, and the Friday afternoon QSO-VLOG network is underway. From now until 5 Eastern Daylight Time, we'll be recording, air checking, and if you have a radio you want to check out, give us a shout. We'll be recording, and then we'll post it up on YouTube, and you'll be able to go to YouTube and do a call letter search for Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor, and that will take you to our QSO Vlog page, and on that page you'll find a QSO for today marked My Group Aircheck 41919. For today it will be entitled My Group Aircheck 41919. And as we get underway, we'll check in with Charlie, K1GZL, up towards the Canadian border. Charlie, you got a copy?
Canadian border. Charlie, you got a copy?
Oh, yeah. Beautiful copy here, Jim. KC9VKV, K1GZL. I'm copying you, not on an SDR, but direct. Direct here at 9 to 10 over, well over the background noise. So, back over to you. Last week I could not make it. I was listening. However, you had a terrific amount of stations right on top of you there, and I could not get in there. It was impossible last week. But right now it sounds a lot better, Jim. I'm not sure what SDR you're using, but right now you're a very good copy. W9 or K9 VKV K1GZL.
Roger, Charlie. Well, we started off with the Arlington, Virginia SDR, and it was pretty good, but then we checked the Rochester, New York SDR, and it was even better. So this afternoon we are copying you on the Rochester, New York SDR, and you're doing, seems to be about a 10 or 12 over the residual noise level in Rochester. Roger?
Noise level in Rochester.
Roger. We also have Jim on frequency, WA3FET, Jim. And okay on copying me better on the Rochester, and Jim is barreling in. But as I mentioned last week, it was impossible. Everybody and his grandmother was on the air at the same time. Just to give you an idea how well this is coming in, here's how you sound right now.
Up towards the Canadian border. Charlie, you got a copy?
Okay.
SDR, and it was even better. So this afternoon we are copying you on the Rochester, New York SDR, and you're doing, seems to be about a 10 or...
I'm probably skipping over, Charlie.
Noise level in Rochester. Roger.
Oh, okay, right. Let me turn it to Jim and see if you copy Jim. KC9VKV to WA3FET, K1GZL. Standing by.
This is KC9VKV, Jim, FET, you got a copy?
This is KC9VKV, Jim, FET, you got a copy?
Correct, better, because we're pretty close to Rochester, and so you may have to try different options there and see how well you're copying. But anyway, great to hear you. You've got a great signal coming through, and Charlie is really blasting in here into State College, Pennsylvania. And we many times, many months ago, we were in Puerto Rico for a while and could not get on from there to your group. But anyway, we're great to get on today and also be on with our very, very close friend Charlie, K1GZL, in far northern New Hampshire, who still is under snow cover. No snow cover here at all. We're expecting to get possibly heavy rain possibly today and this weekend. Anyway, let me see if you're copying, Jim, KC9VKV, and see which radio you're best hearing me on. WA3FET, State College, Pennsylvania, home of Penn State University.
Roger, Jim. Well, believe it or not, my own local antenna is you're doing about a 20 over on my local radio, and I am copying you on the other SDRs, but nowhere near the copy I've got on my local radio. So it's just gangbusters. And gosh, I wanted to talk to you about your trips down there to is it Sarajevo, the Sarajevo dish?
Yes, it's called Arecibo Observatory, and it's the big 1,000-foot dish that's used for radio astronomy, for planetary astronomy, where they have a radar that bounces off planets and asteroids, and then atmospheric research, where they have another powerful radar that can scatter energy back from the ionosphere and gather information. But yes, I was down there for over a month, and we had a great time. Of course, the weather was great, 86 in the day and 75 at night, and we had a real good time and worked on designing some new antennas for down there and so forth. And also, of course, got on ham radio from there using our the remote setup that some other hams in the area here in Pennsylvania and I are building on top of a mountain. Anyway, yes, that is the place, Arecibo, and it's 1,000 feet in diameter in a valley in the island of Puerto Rico. And you're also very strong on my regular transmit antenna. I haven't even tried a SDR because it's not needed on your signal or Charlie. I'm right in the catbird seat in the middle, you might say, so I'm getting both of you equally well here. KC9VKV, WA3FET.
Roger, Jim. Yeah, I would say that's about a 20 over. You're about a 20 over here. Just absolutely excellent. And I was just curious now, that dish is in Puerto Rico is a natural depression, isn't it? And how close is it to perfection as far as the dish is concerned?
Yes, the last question you said, how close is it to what, Jim?
Oh, how close is it to perfection as far as the dish is concerned?
Oh, I understand what you're saying. Yes, the area there is called karst topography, and I guess another area where it exists is in Yugoslavia, or now they call Serbia. But there are natural limestone sinkholes in that part of the island, and this particular sinkhole was just a perfect spherical shape. It's not a parabolic dish, it's a spherical dish, and the reason it's spherical is because the dish cannot move. If it was parabolic, it'd have the focus, and then you'd have to move the dish to get the pattern, the beam to move. But because it's spherical, it's not a point of focus, but a line, and so they have these antennas that are line feeds that move, and that can steer the beam. But it before the hurricane hit, believe it or not, it was within what's called 2.5 millimeters RMS, 2.5 millimeters of a perfect sphere, and the radius of that sphere is 870 feet. So you could imagine a sphere. It's a section of a sphere that has a radius 870 feet, and the surface was within about plus or minus 2.5 millimeters. But since the hurricane happened, it's not like that anymore. And so a big project that's going to cost several $1 million is to get the dish back into shape. It still is good, but it's not so good at higher frequencies in the gigahertz region. So that's the issue. But it is almost a perfect sphere, about as close as you can get, Jim. Go ahead.
Roger. So they're actually taking the, I guess it wouldn't be an LNB, but the receiver is actually, receptor is actually moving across the outer edge of the dish. Is that right?
Well, it's a platform that sits about 550 feet above the center of the dish, and there's a big triangular platform and then a circular track and a big arm that it can move in angle from zenith, which would be straight up. So it can move that arm completely around the circle, and also that's an azimuth, and then it can move in angle to plus or minus 20 degrees. So all the receivers and antennas are located up on that big platform, and that platform is held up by three huge concrete towers with many big steel cables, and the towers go anywhere from 350 to 400 feet high. So it's a very large structure, and you could imagine the anchors in the ground of those towers they're much bigger than a big bus even. You know, there's just so much cement in the ground. But that's how it works. Jim, go ahead.
Roger, Jim. Well, listen, you'll have to keep us abreast of the goings-on down there in Puerto Rico on that dish and its latest activities, Roger.
I sure will. Well, let me turn it up to Charlie there, if it's okay with you. And I know you have many other stations probably waiting to get Aircheck. By the way, you're peaking to 20 dB over 9 as well, so appreciate that nice signal report. And Charlie has quite a monstrous antenna on his own land up there, so it's not quite Arecibo, but Charlie has done a lot with antennas, as you know, over many, many years. I first met Charlie on the air back in the early 70s, and I used to listen to him even before I was a ham back in the 60s, and I got my license in 1965. So Charlie and I both go back quite a ways together, meeting on the air in all different parts of the world, you might say. Okay, K1GZL, and Charlie, how's my signal holding up there? And then we better let Jim work some other guys here, too, but it's really a pleasure to get in today. K1GZL, WA3FET, and the group. W6SG.
Roger, Jim out there in near Louisville, Kentucky. K1GZL, Clarksville, northern New Hampshire, returning. Yeah, that's quite something with that dish, what it's capable of. It's wonderful. It's wonderful what the technology is these days compared to what they were when I was, they say in first grade in 1938. Of course, I'm going to be 87 years of age on July 5, but we're plugging along. I won't hold it too long. It's one of our warmer days. We're way up in the mid and upper 50s right now, and we had a little rain last night, and we have a few bare spots showing on the ground. By the way, Jim, I called up the Jordans, but I had a voicemail, but did not get a reply back. Okay, I'll say 73 to you, Jim, out there. And, of course, Jim, closer in central Pennsylvania at State College. And I'll just give you an idea how well. I'm copying you direct. Here, Jim, out there at, near Louisville, direct. And you're running 10 over, and Jim is running 30 to 35 over 9 on an antenna here that is not putting out much. It's got to be repaired. When I am getting it repaired, there may be a period of time I'm off the air doing so. Okay, before I turn it back to you, I'll just give you an idea how I'm copying direct. This is only a few seconds.
The area there is called karst topography, and I guess another area where it exists is in Yugoslavia, or now they call Serbia, but there are natural limestone sinkholes in that part of the island.
Here we go.
Abreast of the goings-on down there in Puerto Rico on that dish, and its latest activities, Roger.
I sure will. Well, let me turn it up to Charlie then.
Okay, so I'll say 73, and I'll be on tomorrow night at over at Bob's, Jim. Over to you, Jim, and I'm glad you're copying me okay in Rochester on the SDR. WA3FET over to KC9VKV. I hope you're still copying. This is quite a long haul, 40 meters, with the sun up as high as it is, direct. K1GZL, 73 to you both. Go ahead out there in Indiana.
Roger, Charlie. Well, I tell you how crazy things are. The last time before this, when I was copying you, you were heavy into the Rochester, New York SDR, and now this last transmission, you were about 15 over coming out of Milford, PA, which would have been the one I would have thought that I would have copied Jim in since he's in Pennsylvania. But you know, these SDRs have a mind of their own. Excuse me, and they are good for options, you know, and you can't really say for sure on any one given day which SDR might be the hottest. You just have to deal with them in real time, and I do have a 6-position rotary input selector, so I've got 2 Amazon little tablets, and then 1 PC, so I've got 3 SDRs plus my local, so we're learning slowly but surely, you know, just to check them out as we go, and just pick out the strongest one, you know. But we appreciate it, Jim, FET, and Charlie, K1GZL. You guys have a great afternoon and a real pleasant weekend. This is KC9VKV, and this is the QSO-VLOG network. If you've got a radio, you want to check out the audio. We are recording live now from till 5, and so we'll be posting that up on YouTube in the next couple of days. So if you want to hear what your radio sounds like, give us a shout. This is KC9VKV.
And we'll get in again. WA3FET, and a station wanted us to go to 7175. We'll see you again, Jim. WA3FET. Have a great weekend.
Roger, Jim, FET3s. Catch you later. And back to the station calling KC9VKV.
Kilo Golf 0 Bravo Kilo.
Kilo Golf 0. Repeat the rest.
Yes, it's Bravo Kilo, KG0BK. Handle is Russ. We're located in Iowa.
Roger, Russ in Iowa. How's it going today?
Oh, very good. I finally got through to you. I hope my signal is good enough for you to pick me up okay. I've been looking at some of your other videos and such, and listening here for the last 3 or 4 weeks, and making some audio adjustments on my own by recommendations, and I think I'm fairly close.
Roger, now, what radio are you running?
This is the FPDX 3000.
Roger. And I guess you're in contact with your ALC. Your best friend on the radio is your ALC, Roger.
Roger. Yeah, we've got it about, it's a little above a half and less than 3/4.
Oh, Roger, that's ideal. Now, and the microphone you're using?
This is just a stock mic right now. I have the desk mic, but I haven't got room on the desk quite yet to put it up. So we're just playing with the stock mic for the dynamic mic that came with it.
Roger that. Well, I would, if you get a chance, I would go to my EQ, my equalization, and crank in a little more top end on that mic to give it a little definition. Maybe 3 clicks plus 3 clicks from wherever you are on the top end would help give that mic a little more definition. Roger.
Okay, I'm trying to get over there to it. I thought I was right on it, and not quite. Where are we at here? There we are. Okay, right now it is at, I got it at, you're talking more level or bandwidth? I got level at 5 and bandwidth at
Okay, you want to be on your widest bandwidth, 100 to 3K, Roger, 2900?
Yeah, that's where we're set at right now. This is the mic audio set at EQ frequency of 3, which goes from, I'm not sure where it starts at, but it ends at, well, this ends at 2800. Maybe I need to pump that up a little more.
I have somebody tuning up on the frequency. It is not a good idea to tune up on an active frequency. Please take it 4 clicks up or down, but do not tune up on an active frequency. Not nice to do that. Okay, and Russ, so you're in the widest band possible. Is that a Roger?
The high end up to 2900 also. The overall bandwidth is 100 to 3000, and I set the high end up. It was at 26 and I went to 29. Did that make any difference at all?
Yeah, it helped out the top end, but I still would crank in, if you haven't, I would have cranked in about 3 clicks more top end than where we started. Roger?
Roger.
Okay, and you're talking with the frequency up higher or the level of the frequency up higher?
The equalization of the microphone, the audio equalization of the microphone, Roger?
Roger.
Okay, so that's all right. 200.
Yeah, Russ, you have dropped down pretty low now. I was copying you on my local antenna, but you were since fallen below my noise level on the on my local antenna. But I am trying to copy you on Milford, Pennsylvania. So come back and tell me what we got there, Roger.
Roger.
Okay, well this radio has 2 separate mic settings. One for the mid end and one for the upper end. You can set the level plus a bandwidth setting on each of those 3, and then the frequency. And I have the frequency now on the top left.
Roger, Russ. You probably at this point not strong enough for me to actually tell much about your signal. I can hear you in there, but I can't quite pull you out. Now that is the beauty of our more articulated audio. Though you might be in the noise level, if your audio is nice and bright, one can still hear what you're saying and understand what you're saying, even though you may be technically under the noise, you know. So that's that. But maybe conditions will improve here in the next couple of minutes. So as far as the width of your band, you know, 100 to 2900, or 100 to 3K, whatever you know you have in that area. You don't want to go too much past 3K because you tend to incite riots from your neighbors. So if you stay right at 3K, 2900, 2900 probably is better. That'll give you just a little bit of room to you know, to work with there without bleeding out into you know, past 3K. Roger.
Roger.
That's a lot better than when I first started. I could hardly hear me at all. They could tell I was there, and that was it. So apparently we're getting somewhere. And I do thank you so much for your help.
Roger, Russell. Yeah, and you started to fade up a little bit more on my local antennas. So, like I say, you know what the bandwidth is to set. And as far as the EQ, what is your current EQ now? What is your current reading on your EQ, top and bottom?
The bottom is Roger. The bottom is at 100, and the top end now is at 3,000.
Roger, but the actual equalization, what are the numbers on your equalization?
I have no idea what the cricket was. I've got a level of 7 on the very high end, and a level of 7 medium, and a level of 0 on the low end.
All right, probably what you want to be, you have a 3-band EQ, is that a Roger?
That's a Roger.
All right, usually the best way to set that is your mid-band is 0. Your 1KC mid-band is 0, and then you have the ability to brighten it or get more bottom end, but you want to leave your mid-range at 0. Roger?
Okay, we reset the mid-range now to 0 and left everything else the same. Did that help or hurt?
All right, now, what is your top end? Do you have, can you crank in about 3 dB more, 3 clicks more on your top end?
I can do that. I believe it'll let me do that. Let me get back over to it. And let's give this a shot here. 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, I can only go 2 clicks. It only goes up to 10, but how does that sound? Oh, I didn't put it here. That should be it right there.
Roger, sounding better. Like I said, that 1K is a reference. You know, 1K is a reference, and if you plus or minus the 1K, then you run out of room on trying to do something with the top and bottom end. So normally you'll keep that mid-range flat, and then you have room on your bottom end to boost and on your top end to boost or cut or whatever. But you have a point to start with your mid-range in a flat configuration. Roger.
Roger. Okay, well that'll help a lot. And if I'm sounding better, that's even better. I should have turned the thing off, but you probably couldn't hear me the way the stock mic sounded. So, but I've been playing with it, and I've been getting some pretty good audio reports. So maybe we'll even get some better ones now.
Roger. Well, I would say run it that way for a little bit, and then if you get a chance next Friday, join us and let me know, how you've been doing and your contacts you made and the comments you're getting. Roger.
Roger. Well, thank you, Jim. And I was the one that emailed you here about 3-4 weeks ago, and I just haven't been able to get through the noise and such. But today you came in pretty good, so we thought we'd try it. Now, thank you so much for your help. We'll keep listening and keep following some instructions and on the wheel this room, but I think we're on the right track.
Roger. And before you go, what is your location?
We're in Dubuque, Iowa, right there on the border of Iowa, Minnesota, and Wisconsin.
Great. Thank you much, Russell. Appreciate it. And you have a good afternoon and a good weekend. And if you get a chance, check back with us next Friday and let us know how you're doing. 3's that away. And this is KC9VKV and the Friday afternoon QSO-VLOG program, network, whatever you want to call it. And if you have a radio you want to check out, give us a shout. We're copying the mail.
Kilo 0, Kilo Yankee Echo.
Kilowatt 8, Victor India November Portable in Michigan.
Kilowatt 8 station, go ahead.
This is Kilo 8, Victor India November Portable. The name here is Kevin, and I'm presently in Macomb County, Harrison Township, on Lake St. Clair, Michigan, 100 feet off the water with an MFJ 17-foot, 5-inch portable antenna telescopic with. And I also have a Wolf River loading coil, and the whole antenna system is attached to a 8-foot speaker stand. And I've got 4 elevated radios the wires are coming down towards the ground, and on some plastic tent stakes about 2 feet off the ground with a 100-watt ICOM 7300. QSL?
Oh, Roger, Roger. Now, are you in the water, on the water, or how? You're on a lake?
The water, or how? You're on a lake?
Yeah, I'm about 100 feet off the lake, on Lake St. Clair, if you know where that's at. It's about 25 miles northeast of Detroit, Michigan. Over.
Oh, Roger, Roger. Well, let me tell you about your 7300. I take it you're running the stock hand mic. Is that a Roger?
The stock hand mic. Is that a Roger?
That's a Roger. I'm running the stock hand mic right now, and I just cranked up the treble. Am I getting too much tone in there? Over.
No, beautiful. Sounds great. Sounds great. And you are about 2/3 probably on your ALC. Is that a Roger? Take a look and see.
Is that a Roger? Take a look and see.
Just stand by. Yes, I am actually just peeking at the top of the red line there. Over.
Roger. Now, I would pull it back just a skosh. What's your current mic level?
Current mic level.
Well, I've got the mic level at 50, I believe. I actually could knock it down a little bit. I mean, pull out some of the gain off of this here right now.
Yeah, I'd pull that down to about maybe 45, because your dynamic range looks to be, when we first started talking, about 2.5 dB dynamic range, and probably ideal, very likely would be around a 3. So with a 45 mic level, that should do great, Roger. One other aspect, though, you should be running that compressor at about a 3. Running your compressor at only about a 3, but that helps a great deal. You don't really hear it working, but it does contribute to the fatness of the signal, Roger.
Contribute to the fatness of the signal, Roger.
A couple guys that I just got this radio, so I'm not real familiar with it. And a couple guys had me set it up at 45 before, and then someone else told me that it wasn't. So I really didn't know what to set it at, but you're the second person that's told me 45, so is that much better? Over.
Roger. Well, it just takes the up against the wall sound. That 7300 has a stone wall limiter. So what it does, it tries to keep you, takes care of you, even though you pump up the volume. When you get fatter, but you do kind of develop, it's not quite as pleasant as when you're just doing, between 1/2 and 2/3, So you can run it up there, but it's a good idea to stay out of the red, Roger.
If you stay out of the red, Roger.
Yeah, Roger. Is the bass too much, or I have it at 50 up to about 4 there, over.
Well, I've been copying you on the Raleigh SDR. Come back. I've got a good copy on my local antenna. Come back and tell me about your antenna system.
Okay, the antenna is an MFJ 1969 or 79, and it's 17 foot, 5 inches, telescopic, and I've got it Wolf River loading coil on the antenna, and I've also got that clamped to a 8-foot speaker stand, and I have 4 tuned radials that are about 2 feet off the ground into some plastic tent stakes. How's that sound? Over.
Oh, you got it. That's excellent. That is excellent. I'd get the Gorilla tape and tape everything down just like it is, Roger.
Yeah, Roger. That's great. The name here is Kevin. KVIN is the call sign. Kilo Echo Victor India November is the name. And what is your name presently, and where are you located? What's your QTH? Over.
The call is KC9VKV, and this is the QSO-VLOG network, and we're located physically around Louisville. We're just across the Ohio River from Louisville. We're actually in Indiana, but we're about 3 miles from downtown Louisville. Roger.
Roger that. Well, you're about 20 over there. Your sound is fantastic. Your audio is perfect. armchair copy. And I'm glad my antenna's making it that way. I'll be in Michigan for a while. I actually used to live here, but I live in Florida right now, land of lakes, and visiting relatives. And we'll see what goes on here. This has been an interesting thing. I'm so glad that you told me what I needed here, because you sound like you're very intelligent and know this radio quite well. Over.
Roger, we've done probably about 150 setups on 7300s, Roger.
Yeah. Yes, Roger. That's fantastic, too, because, you know, I almost didn't buy this radio. I was going to buy that Yaesu 991 there, and a friend of mine talked me into getting this. I have another Yaesu radio also. And I figured, I'm going to give ICOM a try, and I am not disappointed. I love this radio. I don't know if I could ever go to a different radio with. I love the SDR on here and the band scope and everything. It's just fantastic. Over.
Oh, Roger, yes, it is the radio of the century. It definitely is the radio of the century. Just so many things right about that radio. The only competition it might have would be the ICOM 7610. And the 7610 has a neat little item called Drive, and Drive can take your dynamic range right on up to about a half a dB if you wanted to push it that far. But normally, you know, you would run it, take it on up to about a dB and a half, and that's just, oh man, that's just such a fat audio signal, Roger.
Yeah, Roger. You know, I can't even believe that they got this mic sounding so good with this radio. Everybody's telling me that this is like, you don't need to buy another microphone because it matches the radio quite well. You know, other than a headset mic or something, I'm a fairly new ham. I haven't been around very long. So, you know, I'm getting used to new things. I actually have another microphone sitting here that has built-in EQ, and I think it has a parametric and a equalizer graphic EQ in it. But I haven't even hooked it up there. It's still sitting brand new in the box there. Over.
Oh, Roger, well, you're going to have to go a long way to beat that hand mic. That is a condenser hand mic, and ICOM used a lot of good thinking when they put that mic with that radio, because it really just makes that radio shine. And like I say, the only thing better than that would be if you got a condenser desk mic. If you replace that condenser hand mic with a condenser desk mic. If you replace it just with a regular desk mic, dynamic desk mic, you're going to have to crank in hard on the top EQ to even start to come out where you are now, just naturally with the hand mic, that condenser hand mic. Roger?
Roger. Yeah, Roger. I think the one that I have, a friend of mine actually gave it to me. He never opened the thing. It's an MFJ model, I can't remember, 299 maybe, and I'm pretty sure it has an electret condenser mic inside of it, so it wouldn't even be worth the while of using it. Unless I do know that the condenser would be well worth the effort to add to this radio. I'm a musician, so I know that there would be some advantages with that there. Over.
Roger. Well, the hand mic that you're on is a condenser hand mic. What I'm saying is that most desk mics are dynamic. So if you were to put just a regular desk mic on your radio to replace that condenser hand mic, you would have to do a lot of EQing to try to make up the difference. Now, if the desk mic that you have is already a condenser mic, that would be a good replacement for the hand mic if you needed to replace it. Myself, I think I would just be inclined to run with a hand mic, Roger.
Yeah, Roger, I have no problems with it, and everybody's been telling me how well this sounds with this hand mic, so I think I'm just going to stick with this thing right now. K8VIN, returning. You know, did you tell me your name? I'm sorry, my memory is not that great. Over.
Roger, the name here is Jim Juliet India Mike. Roger?
Roger. Okay, Jim, yeah. Roger that. Well, I appreciate the help here, and you're just doing a fine job. Your signal. How long have you been in amateur radio? Over.
Probably about 7 years. Somewhere around 7 years. I know I spent, and usually it works out in groups of 2 years. When I first became a ham radio operator, I was using 10 meters. I was on 10 meters for about 2 years. And it just happened to be that that was the time when 10 meters was just like banging hard every day. You know, I was talking to California every day. I had a buddy on that 28400, which is the unofficial official call frequency for 10 meters, and so he usually monitored that, and so the first call I would do would be on that frequency, and he would come back at about a 10 or 15 over from San Diego, and it was like I had a direct line to his house. It was just really amazing. And so I was about 2 years on that, and then I got into UHF, VHF radios and building Yagi antennas for that, and that was another 2 years there, and then then went into HF. Roger.
Yeah, Roger. Sounds like you know your stuff, though. I'll tell you, I back home in Land O'Lakes, Florida, the antenna, I live in an HOA, so it's pretty hard for me to get a decent antenna, but I've tried a couple loops, and I made a loop out of some copper tubing, and something that I could sneak in there. But actually, this little portable vertical, I'm going to see if I can sneak this in on the back corner of my lot there. Maybe I'll be able to get away with it because it's hardly noticeable. It's such a thin little antenna. To see how well this works when I get back home. Because I bought this while I was up here in Michigan. Over.
Oh, Roger that. Well, one of the antennas that I built for 10 meters was a full-wave loop antenna, vertically polarized, and on a motor-driven, and it was a full-wave loop, 36 feet on a PVC frame, which was a 10-foot on the horizontal and 8 foot on the vertical, and then I used RG8 as an element around the PVC tubing, and it was driven from the top, which was a little unusual, and as near as I could figure, it didn't fade a lot, and as near as I can figure, it was becoming horizontally and vertically polarized simultaneously. In other words, the loop itself was vertical, and you could rotate it around, but just the way it was driven from the top in the middle, it did have some good horizontal and vertical aspects to it simultaneously. So even when there was a fade, it never faded because it was just fading from horizontal to vertical, and the antenna was that already.
Well, that sounds like a very good setup that you had. Well, you were using just a standard rotor on that, or what was it made out of? Over.
Yeah, it was just a small little antenna rotor, and it's still there. I still use it if there would ever be any activity on 10. 10 is kind of like the big wasteland most of the time now. It's like watching paint dry. But yeah, it was on a PVC, 3/4 inch PVC frame. And again, it was a rectangular, and 8 foot on the vertical and 10 foot on the horizontal. So, and then the RG8 was tie-tacked around the frame. Roger?
Yeah, Roger. That sounds like an interesting antenna there. Yeah, 10 meters. I tried 10 meters, and I turned it on. I couldn't even see anything going on 10 meters. When I did try to make a contact on 10 meters, I set the antenna, this portable, up for 10 meters. There was nothing there. Over.
Oh, that's right. If you want to talk every day, you're going to be using 40, and if you want to talk at night, you'll probably be using 80. But 40 and 80 are the workhorses at this point. Roger.
Yeah, Roger. Roger. That's this particular antenna that I have. I can get 80 on it with the coil that's on there, 40 and 20, and actually, if I short the coil out completely, I can use it on. Well, it's resonant on 20 meters without the coil, so pretty much I just short that coil out, and then if I lower the antenna, I can get some other bands on there also. Over.
Oh, roger that, Kevin. Well, listen, you're sounding great, man. Just if you can, check in with us next Friday and let me know how you've been doing and what the comments you've been getting. Roger?
Roger. Yes, Jim, I surely will do that. About what time do you get on here?
We start at 3:30 Eastern Daylight Time and go till 5 Eastern Daylight Time and record the whole piece. So then we usually within the next couple of days upload it to YouTube, and you can get it by going to YouTube and doing a call letter search for Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor. That will take you to our QSO-VLOG page, and on that page you'll find a QSO entitled My Group Aircheck 41919. My Group Aircheck 41919. Roger?
Roger? Yeah, roger that. I surely will do that then. Okay, well, you have a fantastic weekend and a great day. Thank you for all the help that you've given me. I really appreciate it. Like I said, I just got this radio, and I'm really not all that familiar with everything. But that's fantastic that I've been able to talk to someone that knows the radios quite so well. So we'll hope to see you again. This is K8VIN, and I'll turn it back to you for your final there. Over.
Roger. Give me your call phonetically, please, sir.
Please, sir. This is Victor, or excuse me, Kilowatt 8, Victor, India, November. K8VIN. It's Kilowatt 8, Victor, India, November. And the name here is Kevin, Kilo Echo, Victor, India, November.
Roger, roger. Thank you, sir. We'll say threes to you, and you have a good afternoon, good weekend, and we'll see you next Friday. This is KC9VKV, and you're listening to the QSO-VLOG network. If you've got a radio you want to check out the audio, give us a shout. We are recording between now and 5, and listening for you. KC9VKV.
Victor Echo 3 X-ray Delta
There was a Victor Echo 3 station.
Roger, Victor Echo 3 X-ray Delta Mike, London, Ontario, QSO.
Roger, roger. What's the name there?
The name is Gary, Golf Alpha Radio Yankee, and we're just running the stock mic wide open with no equalization right now. Just playing around with the TX bandpass filter. Just curious how it sounds.
Okay, you're running the 7300? 300?
Negative. Running Fox Tango 2000.
Roger, roger. Hang on just a minute. Okay, and have you looked at your ALC? You want to be running that ALC between half and 2/3, Roger?
Roger. Roger that.
So you are running that?
Oh, hang on a second. I'm just a little bit over here. Let me back it off. Check 1, 2, check 1, 2. Okay, there we go. This is about half.
Alrighty, and what I normally recommend is that you run your compressor at about a 3. That starts your fattening of the audio. The end result, we want to be at about a 3 dB dynamic range. But so by running that compressor at a 3, that starts the fattening process, and then we'll check the ALC after you get the compression at a 3, and see where we go from there. Roger.
Roger. Okay, Roger. Just let me get my processing set up here. Check 1, 2. Check 1, 2. Hello, check. Victor Echo 3 X-ray Delta Mike.
Alrighty, and so on your EQ, I think if you cranked in just a little bit more top EQ, it would add to your definition of the audio a little bit. Maybe two clicks more top end EQ if you have it.
Okay, Roger. I'm just running it's turned off right now. I'm just running the mic wide open, and I was just playing around with the TX bandpass filter. Right now I'm set at about 400 to 2600, and I'm going to swing it as wide as it'll go, Roger.
Yeah, okay, I would recommend, 100 to 2900, or, 100 to 3K. Probably 2900 would be best, Roger.
Roger.
Okay, Roger. Here's 1 to 2900, over.
Yeah, I would run in that. I don't see any reason to actually go to the more restricted band passes, because what you're looking for, even if you're contesting or anything, you're listening, they're listening to try to hear your sound, and if you restrict the top end, you're restricting your articulation. So by going out to 2900, and even if you're doing contest or whatever, it really helps, rather than if you start restricting that top end, you're just rolling off your intelligibility.
Okay, Roger. Yeah, I usually use the narrower ones when I'm working, trying to work DX. I find it puts the power a little more into the mid-range, where it tends to get through a little better. But yeah, for local nets and that, I agree. The wider bandwidth is probably the better way to go. Higher fidelity and so on. Anyways, Jim, thank you so much for your help. I really do appreciate it. And I was wondering, how is it sounding now? Over.
It might take a click off the bottom end. It sounded a little heavy off the bottom end. I would love to be able to hear you on my my local antenna, my local radio, but it's last time I checked, you were only about a couple of dB above my noise level there. So I am using the Milford PA SDR. Roger.
Roger.
Okay, Roger. Okay, I took it up to about 200 to
somebody around New York is tuning up on the frequency. It's one of those days, Gary.
Sure.
Okay, Roger. We'll stand by.
Talk to me just a little bit. Let me find you. See, I'm running 3 SDRs in my local antenna. So let me see what's the loudest, Roger.
Roger.
Okay, Roger.
Roger.
Victor Echo 3 X-ray Delta Mike. The 220 QX
Roger, Roger. Yes, I'm on my local antenna. You're about 3 to 4 dB now above noise, which is a lot better than what it was. But anyway, you're talking about contesting and CQ DXing and all that stuff. And what you want to do is at all times have maximum clarity in your audio. And if you do roll off your bandpass, then you're sacrificing the clarity, because your enunciation, articulation, all that's in the top end. The best that radio has is the very top end as far as getting that articulation, so somebody can hear you, even in a pileup. They can hear what you're saying because your audio is fully articulated. Roger.
Okay, Roger, Jim. Yeah, usually when I'm contesting, I'm working CW, but I rarely work phone on contesting, like for field day and so on. The club here in London recruits me to run the CW off for them. I think I'm about the only guy in the club here that's actually practicing this on a regular basis. But anyways, thanks again for your help, Jim. I do appreciate it. By the way, you're a solid 20/9 into London, Ontario. Very nice audio, very clean, and very punchy. So my compliments to your rig, sir. And anyways, we'll pass it back to you for a final, and let you carry on with some of the other folks. Kilo Charlie 9, Victor Kilo, Victor, VE3 X-ray Delta Mike.
Roger, Roger. Yeah, and Roger, on the CW. I don't do CW. I would if I could, but I can't. I maybe can send fairly fast, but maybe not. I really haven't delved into CW. I leave well enough alone. I can cope with phone, but CW, I just But powers to you, sir, and I understand about that. More restricted bandpass in CW. Perhaps that's true. Although you're not actually sending audio at all. You're just you're turning your transmitter on and off at so many keys. Roger.
Yeah, Roger. Actually, this summer I've got some vacation coming up. I was thinking I have another rig here, the 897 Yaesu. I was going to perhaps take that out to east and maybe do QRP work up on the mountain. I'm from Montreal, a little town called St. Bruno, and not far from there, there's a nice, I think it's a 380-meter summit on Mount St. Hilaire that's a public park, and I was thinking about maybe taking a hike up there with a little rig and try and do some CW QRP work. So, anyways, we'll see how that goes. 7-3's, Jim. Thanks for your help. KC9 Victor Kilo Victor Echo 3 X-ray Delta Mike.
Roger, Gary 3's that way, sir. And we do say our mantra is 20 over from Montreal to Miami and from New York to New Mexico. Although we can't find anybody in Montreal. we have looked, but I never get signals coming out of Montreal. But maybe that will change. I'm not real sure. But anyway, 3's. And Gary, you have a real good weekend. We'll catch you later. If you get a chance, check back in next Friday. And we will be posting this QSO-VLOG in the next couple of days. So if you go to YouTube and do a call letter search for Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor, that will take you to our QSO-VLOG page. And on that page, look for QSO entitled My Group Aircheck 41919. My Group Aircheck 41919. And with that, we'll say 3's, Gary, and you have a good weekend. This is KC9VKV and the QSO-VLOG net. If you've got a radio, you want to check out the audio, give us a shout. This is KC9VKV.
Victor Echo 3, X-ray Bravo Oscar.
Victor Echo 3, repeat the rest.
Victor Echo 3, X-ray Bravo Oscar.
X-ray Bravo, and give me the last.
X-ray Bravo Oscar. X-ray Bravo Oscar. Roger.
I got that. And what's the name, please?
Name here is Barn Bravo Alpha Romeo Tango.
Roger that. Catching just a little bit of QRM from somewhere. I'm not real sure, but anyway, how goes it, sir?
Good, sir. Oh, very good, Jim. I hope all is well, and happy Good Friday to you. I pulled out an old radio I had. It's my old, I should say, field day radio. It's a Yaesu FT897 with the stock microphone, and I am using the windscreen right now. Just wanted to see how it sounds on the air.
Oh, sounds good. Now that is that radio. Does it have EQ and all that stuff? Negative.
No EQ on that radio.
Well, you got it pretty going on now with the choice of mic that you're using, Roger.
Okay, Roger. So it doesn't sound too bad, I presume.
No, it's nice and crisp, and your dynamic range looks to be about maybe 3.5 dB. Does it have an ALC reading on it?
Yes, it does, and I can switch to it. It's sort of bouncing around 1/2 right now.
Roger, yeah, crank up just a little bit, see what it sounds like at 2/3.
Yeah, that would be 2/3 right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Roger, that looks to be about 2.5 dB, 3 dB dynamic range. Looks good, sounds good, Roger.
Okay, it does have a built-in processor. It's running right now at 20%.
Built-in compressor?
Compressor?
Roger, roger.
Oh, Roger. Sounds good, man. Sounds good.
Good.
Okay, very good. 7-3, Jim, and enjoy the rest of your 90-minute show there. VE3, XPO.
Oh, roger that. Roger that. Threes to you, sir. You have a good afternoon and a good weekend. This is KC9VKV and the QSO-VLOG network. If you've got a radio you want to check out the audio, give us a shout. We are recording between now and 5. This is KC9VKV.
KV.
Whiskey 9.
This is KC9VKV.
Whiskey 9. Stroke. Victor 31 Kilo Charlie.
Whiskey 9 station. Come back with a call again, please.
Whiskey 9 station, come back with a call again, please.
Yes, sir. The home call is the call Whiskey 9 slot Victor 31 Kilo Charlie. Go ahead.
Roger, what's the name?
What's your name?
The hand name is Dennis. Delta Echo November India Charlie Echo. Go ahead.
You had a little bit of QRM. Repeat that phonetically again.
Again?
Delta Echo November India Charlie Echo. Yes,
Oh, roger that. Roger that. What's your location, sir?
Yes, sir.
Roger that. I don't have a real good copy on you. I'm catching some QRM off the side, but I think if try it one more time. Let's see where we go.
Try it one more time. Let's see where we go.
Okay, I'm actually on my radio that I use for porting like the other radio. Is the name. If you look at my QRV page there, you'll see a picture of this radio. I just wanted to know how it sounds,
Roger. What I can hear of it, it sounds maybe upper mids are too heavy. It's kind of mid-rangey, very mid-rangey. What kind of EQ do you have on that radio? What radio is it?
What kind of EQ do you have on that radio? What radio is it?
Touchscreen XDR radio. It is a homemade radio, but it does have an EQ. Let me see if I can get into the EQ. It does have an EQ, just a bass and a triple adjustment. Go ahead.
Is it you say a 2-band EQ or a 3-band?
Is it you say a 2-band EQ or a 3-band?
Yes, 2-band.
All right. I would. And what are your settings now on the EQ? What are your settings now on your EQ?
What are your settings now on the EQ? What are your settings now on your EQ?
3 on bass and 5 on triple. 3 up, 5 up. Good.
Well, let's see. Are you plus or minus? Are you 3 plus and 2 plus on the bottom end?
Plus or minus? Are you 3 plus and 2 plus on the bottom end?
I am up plus 3 on the bass, 5 up on the treble. Good.
Plus. Are you plus or minus? You know, you have a center which is plus or minus 0, and so that's a 0 and 10 on both of them. So then when you go forward, when you're boosting, you're plus. So would it be a plus 2 on the top end, or plus? What would the top end be?
Be a plus 2 on the top end, or plus? What would the top end be?
I believe it's 10. Let me check. Oh, it's 5. So 5 is the mid, and I just turned the bass up. Let me turn it up. The bass is at 3 plus, and the treble is at 5 plus. Good.
Your bottom end is at 5 plus?
Your bottom end is at 5 plus?
Yeah, the bass is 5 plus. Bass 5 plus, sorry, bass 3 plus, bass 3 plus, treble 5 plus. Triple 5 plus, right?
Roger, Roger. Okay, I would take the base and take it to 0. I would pull that base back minus 2 or 3 to the 0 point. A 0 point on the base, Roger.
To the 0 point. A 0 point on the base, Roger.
Okay, let's go. This is 0 on the base, 0 on the base, and the treble is still at 5 plus, right?
Okay, how much top end EQ do you have past where you are? Do you have 2 more clicks of top end on that top EQ?
2 more clicks of top end on that top EQ?
The treble is at max. 5 is the highest on treble. On both of them, 5 is the highest. I could either go 5 plus or 5 minus. Right now the treble is at 5 plus. Go ahead.
Roger, that's where you want to be then. Max top end boost, and then go look at your ALC and adjust your mic level to where your ALC is running mid-scale to 2/3. Roger.
Where your ALC is running mid-scale to 2/3. Roger.
Okay. My ALC goes up to, what is that, 32? And it starts red at 12. So I'm not sure if, I don't think I should be in the red. So I have 2, 4, and 12 that's below red. That looks to me like about 2/5 of the whole scale. Let me bring down the mic. You were saying take it up to 2/3? Is that a QSO, 2/3?
Right, your ALC should be running between mid-scale and 2/3. You don't want to be in the red. Maybe just occasionally you might be in the red, but normally not in the red. Between mid-scale and 2/3 normally.
Not in the red. Between mid-scale and 2/3 normally.
Okay, I'm just, let me lower the mic some. Right now, my gain is 60 and it's just barely bringing on the red when I speak loud. Barely brings it up to the red when I speak loud, QSO.
All right, now what you want to do is get your compressor in there. Turn your compressor on about a 3. About a 3 on your compressor, Roger.
About a 3 on your compressor, Roger.
Okay, I had compression on already. Compression was at 2. So I turned compression is at 3, but it's going up. Sorry, it's going all the way into the red now. It's going about 3 or 4 clicks into the red with compression at 3. I already had compression on, so I probably should have made the LC adjustment without compression on. Is that what you're saying? Go ahead.
No, leave your compressor in at a 3. Leave your compressor in at about a 3, and then turn your mic level down to where you're not in the red on your ALC. Leave your compressor engaged at about a 3, and then turn your mic gain where you need to turn it to just barely stay out of the red, Roger.
You need to turn it to just barely stay out of the red, Roger.
Okay, QSO, that's, let me see, coming down. My gain at 50 is where I'm just barely hitting the red. My gain at 50, compression at 3. And by the way, your 20 over, I don't think I gave you a signal report, but a beautiful audio into Waukegan doing KC9VKV with W9 V31KC. Back to you.
Roger that. Now, if you went to a 45, if you went down 5 clicks to 45, would that keep you out of the red, Roger?
Clicks to 45, would that keep you out of the red, Roger?
Okay, let's try that. It still hit the red if I speak loud on the peaks, it just barely hit the red, so let me see what 40 does. Yeah? Out of the red. I guess this mic is a little hot, Jim. Go ahead.
Roger. Well, you know, between your mic level, just be sure that you keep your compressor in there at about a 3, and then, like I say, adjust your mic level down to keep you out of the red, and that, you know, that would be about the best way to run it, Roger.
You know, that would be about the best way to run it, Roger.
Okay, QSO. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Jim. I also have another radio, but I'll give somebody else a break and switch over to my radio radio, and then if I get a chance to get back in there, you could give me a check on the other radio there, Jim. KC9VKV. Thank you very much from W9/V31KC.
Roger. And what was the name again, one more time phonetically?
Roger. And what was the name again, one more time phonetically?
The name is Dennis. It's just spelled different. It's spelled Delta Echo November India Charlie Echo. Dennis is the name there, Jim. Go ahead.
Alrighty, and the call sign one more time phonetically.
Alrighty, and the call sign one more time phonetically.
QSO Whiskey 9 Stroke V31KC Whiskey 9 plus Victor 31 Kilo Charlie.
I'm not sure what that 31 is. Is that? I've never run across a call sign quite like that before, Roger.
I've never run across a call sign quite like that before, Roger.
Yes, so the home call is from Belize. Victor 3, the V3 is Belize. And in Belize we have three license levels. And 1 is the highest. So we have V31, V32, V33. I'm V31 Kilo Charlie. Go ahead.
Okay, W9V31, what?
9V31, what?
I got W9V31, what's the rest?
W9 Victor V31, and what's the rest?
King Charles, that's my home call. Go ahead.
Okay, W9. V31 VKC, is that a Roger?
V31 VKC, is that a Roger?
Just Victor number 3, number 1, Kilo Charlie. Victor number 3, number 1, Kilo Charlie. Currently in Illinois and Whiskey 9 slash Stroke Victor 31 Kilo Charlie. Go ahead.
Roger. Alrighty, I got it. Listen, Dennis, you have a real good afternoon, a good weekend, and if you get a chance to check back in next Friday and let me hear how you've been doing and who you've been talking to and what they've been saying. And if you get a chance between now and then to go to YouTube to hear your audio, go to YouTube and do a call letter search for Kilo Charlie 9, Victor Kilo Victor, and that will be the take you to our QSO-VLOG page, and on that page you'll be looking for a QSO entitled My Group Aircheck for 1919. My Group Aircheck for 1919. Roger, Roger.
My Group Aircheck for 1919. Roger, Roger.
Okay, QSO on that, Jim. I will definitely do that. And like I said, if I get a chance, I might get back in here. I don't know how long you're going to be on. I might get back in here on the other radio if I get a chance today. Thank you very much, Jim. KC9VKV. W9/V31KC.
Roger, Dennis, 3's that away, sir. Have a good afternoon and a good weekend if we don't make contact later on. This is KC9VKV and the QSO-VLOG network. If you want to check out your radio's audio, give me a shout. We are standing by. It's KC9VKV.
Audio, give me a shout. We are standing by. It's KC9.
Kilo Golf 4 Kilo Tango Lima.
Kilo Golf 4, come back with the rest.
It's Kilo Golf 4 Kilo Tango Lima.
KTL, what's the name, please?
All right, the name here is Scott, Sierra Charlie Oscar Tango Tango, located 80 miles east of Memphis in a little town called Henderson, Tennessee. Roger?
Oh, Roger, Scott. Boy, about to take my doors off here on my local antenna. I would say you're like a 20 over, Roger.
Oh, very cool. Well, I just turned on the radio and I kind of heard what you're doing here. And what, you go online to hear your sound check? Is that how that rolls or what?
Oh, Roger, we record live between now and 5, and then post it up on YouTube. And you go to YouTube and do a call letter search for Kilo Charlie 9, Victor Kilo Victor. And that'll take you to the QSO-VLOG page, and on that page you'll be looking for an air check entitled My Group Aircheck 41919. Roger?
Okay, so it's Kilo Charlie 9. Give it to me one more time, please.
Kilo Charlie 9, Victor Kilo Victor.
All right, man, I'll go ahead and check it out. Thank you so much for providing the service. Pretty cool, and yeah, very neat indeed. 73 from Tennessee, man, and thanks for working me. KG4KTL.
Yo, Roger, Scott, what's the what's your location?
The location is in Henderson, Tennessee. Henderson, Tennessee. Roger?
Oh, roger that, roger that. Well, like I say, you are about a 20 over. What radio are you running?
The radio is an old ICOM 746 Pro. I've had this since about 2002, and it still does me justice, so, you know, why upgrade, I guess, right?
Oh, roger, yeah, the audio sounds great. What mic are you running?
It's a Heil PR40.
Roger, roger. Well, I usually suggest maybe just a tad more top-end EQ for articulation, but it sounds good and better if you've cranked in a couple of dB on the top end.
Well, I put a little bit more on the top end. Does it need a little bit more, you think?
I think so. It's a dynamic microphone, and dynamics don't have quite the top end that electret condensers or condenser mics do, Roger.
Okay, I put a little bit more on the 2400 and 3200. Put a little bit more highs in there. How about that, sir? Am I getting close?
Oh, that sounds a lot better. Yeah, you want to be as articulated as you can be and still be pleasant, because you want to be understood. That's the key word. When you get down into somebody's noise level, they can hear you, but if your articulation is not very good, they can't tell exactly what you're saying. So the more defined your words are, and that means the top end EQ, the easier they're going to be able to hear the words that you're actually speaking, Roger.
Okay, so this is a marked improvement over when we first spoke. Is that a good assessment?
Roger, I would think so, yes, as far as being able to hear what you're saying. Now, you've always been well above my noise level, so, you know, that's a no-brainer. But when you, like I say, when you start into a situation where you're maybe 2 dB above somebody's noise level, that's where the articulation of your radio is going to really pay off, Roger.
All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and go to YouTube and check out the KC9VKV deal there and see what I can find. How about that?
Alrighty, it'll be a couple of days before we post this one, but there's 460 others there now to carouse through, Roger.
Oh, wow. So what will I look for call sign and then hit it and it goes to the minute mark? Is that how that goes?
Well, that would be one way to do it. But like I say, I won't be posting this QSO, today's QSO. It'll be a couple of days before I post it. But there are a lot of other QSOs there, you know, that you know, you might want to hear other folks' radios and situations, Roger.
Okay, well, this is pretty cool. So, yeah, I'll give it a listen and run it up a flagpole, see who salutes it, and be looking forward for how about 2-3 days or something like that. It's a holiday, so. Give it a few days and kind of check back for today's date. That's kind of right.
Roger, yeah. And do you know Spike?
I know a couple guys named Spike.
Roger. This was WGN on WGN for a number of years?
No, sir.
Okay, yeah, he was, I think he was in Henderson. A buddy of mine, we talk quite often on the Kentucky phone net.
Well, that's interesting. You don't recall his call sign, do you?
It's. I think it involves WGN something.
Well, I'm not familiar with a spike in Henderson, but there again, you never know, right? He could be inactive for a while or be working some other band. I don't know.
Roger. Yeah, this was 3810 or 11 mornings, and sometimes 9, depending on the QRM.
Well, very interesting. Well, man, there's probably others out there chomping at the bit. Thank you so much for letting me get in here and blow the dust off the rig, and I'll say 73 from Tennessee and let it roll. KG4KTL.
Roger, Scott. Dynamic range is running about 2.5 to dB, between 3 and 2.5. Very fat signal, and like I say, RF-wise, about a 20 over. So we'll say 3s for now. Have a real good weekend, and if you get a chance, check back in next Friday and let me know how you're doing, who you've been talking to. It's 10 before 5 Eastern Daylight Time. At 5 we turn into a pumpkin. So gosh, if you want to hear what your radio sounds like, give me a shout. This is KC9VKV.
Kilo 0, Kilo Yankee Echo.
There was a Kilo 0. Come back with the rest.
Kilo 5, Kilo Yankee Echo.
Kilo 0. Come back with the call again.
Kilo 0, Kilo Yankee Echo.
Kilo 0, Kilo Yankee. Charlie is our Tango. What was the last?
Echo 5, Tango, Bravo, Tango.
Kilo 0, Kilo Yankee Echo. Is that right?
Roger.
Roger. What's the name there, please?
Name here is Kyle, Kilo Yankee Lima Echo. I spoke to you before, Jim, on with it using a different call sign, but this is my new one. I'm in north central Iowa, about 60 miles north of Des Moines. Back to you.
Oh, Roger. Welcome from Iowa. Sounding really good, Roger.
Thanks for that. I'm glad I was able to get through to you. I just rebuilt my Collins 3001 amplifier and wanted to see how it sounds on the radio.
Oh, very good. What's the power rating?
Right now I'm pushing about, let's see, it looks like I'm hitting it about 600 watts, something like that.
Roger, sounding good. What did you have to do to it?
I had to, the capacitors on the power supply blew up, and I had to replace those, so I upgraded it to a Harbach power supply upgrade that they sell.
Oh, Roger. Well, it does. And what are the tubes in that amp?
It has the 811.
Roger. Well, you're really getting pretty good wattage out of that. Was it 4 of them for sure?
Yep, four 811s.
Roger. Yeah, doing a good job, sir. And what's your radio again?
I'm on an old Yaesu Fox Tango FT101 EE. It's the extra economy model. Doesn't have a noise processor in it. Just a basic radio. I'm using a static D104 microphone and running into a random length piece of wire through a Johnson Matchbox tuner.
Roger that. Well, a good choice on that D104. You have a nice bright audio signal because of that microphone, whereas if you were to use just a regular dynamic mic, you would probably be nowhere near the articulation on the top end, Roger.
Roger that. That's what I understand from past conversations with you, that this is a good microphone for this radio.
Roger, it is. Yes, it is. And overall, the radio sounds really good, man.
Okay, Jim. Well, I'll back out of here, so if anybody else wants to check in before you call it a day, they can. I sure appreciate your recording this for YouTube. I enjoy listening to myself, as funny as that may sound, but it's a good way to check out my radio. So 73, this is Kilo Zero, Kilo Yankee Echo, and I'm going to clear with KC9VKV. Thanks very much, 73, Jim.
Roger, Roger. Yeah, we were copying the mail on the our local receiver. So yeah, if you go there, you'll hear a very good copy of your audio transmissions. We'll say 3s for now. And this we've got a time for one more. This KC9VKV.
November 4, Romeo Alpha Hotel.
Charlie Tango. Kilowatt 8, Charlie Tango.
Charlie Tango station, go ahead.
Yeah, it's called Kilowatt 8, Charlie Tango. I signal, Jim. Been reading the mail. I've read the mail several times before, but your nice signal today, a good Q5S9, plus about 10 dB into southern Michigan. The name is Bob, over.
Roger, Bob. What radio are you running, sir?
Running on a non-200D, Alpha 87A, about 800 watts.
Roger, sounds good. And the microphone?
Well, it's a microphone product kit put together. It's a Neumann knockoff, I think.
Oh, roger that, roger that. So, and you're running a wide bandpass, 100 to 29, or what?
80 to 3,000, I think. I have to look here. Been a while. 80 to 3,000.
Roger. Well, I think you're occupying most of those frequencies in between those areas, Roger.
Oh, good. Sounds okay to you, huh? Been interested in, or I've been listening several times, and you put on a pretty interesting process there, Jim. For.
Well, thank you, sir. Yeah, my mission is to make HF radio sound as good as 2 meters or 70 centimeters. You know, those radios in those bands are all using pretty much maybe condenser hand mics and stuff, and they have real easy targets, repeaters and stuff, so they all sound like $1 million. And so, you know, when you hear that and then you hear HF, and, you know, you just want to try to get everything as clean as 2 meters, Roger.
Oh, yeah, well, that's good. Well, great. Just want to jump in and say hi. I have an old by Cult radio, an old Yaesu FT102 that's been malcolmized, and get on here sometime, let you evaluate that one. But been playing SDR for the last few years. I'll sign on this one and listen out. Good to hear you. Thanks for the report. And like I say, you put on an interesting show there, Jim. Coming to you from Kilo 8, Charlie Tango.
Roger, Roger, Bob 3's that way, sir. And if you get a chance, drop by YouTube and do a call letter search for Kilo Charlie 9, Victor Kilo Victor, and that'll take you to our QSO-VLOG page, and you'll be looking for a QSO entitled My Group Aircheck 4/19/19. Today's date, 4/19/19. Roger?
Roger, 4/19/19. I'll do that. 7-3. From Kilowatt 8, Charlie Tango. Good day.
Roger, Bob 3's that way, sir, and have a good weekend. This is KC9VKV, the QSO-VLOG network, and we're rapidly approaching 5. I got to get out of here pretty quick. We have time for one more. KC9VKV listening.
Radioactive ham. Radioactive ham.
What's that, radioactive ham?
Yeah, Jim, this is November 4, Romeo Alpha Hotel, otherwise Radioactive Ham in North Georgia Mountains.
Roger, Roger. What's the location in Georgia?
Just south of a town called Jasper and a littler town called Tate.
Roger, Roger. And what's the name, please?
The name here is Rick.
Roger, Rick. Well, you're sounding really good, sir. What's the radio you're running?
Well, Jim, I'm using what they call an entry-level radio these days. It's a Yaesu 450D, but compared to my radios of the past, it's got a lot more stuff than I would call entry-level on it. I'm using the stock microphone with it, which is an MN31, I believe.
Roger. I would put just a little more top-end EQ on that mic. It's sounding pretty mid-rangey. If you were to add about, do you have a 2-band or a 3-band EQ?
I'm not sure. I believe it's only 2-band in this entry-level radio.
Roger. Well, if you were to add about 3 clicks of top-end, that would make that mic sound a whole lot better, Roger.
Roger that, and I do appreciate that information, as I have not used it all that much. I got too much audio reports back, and that is very useful information, Jim.
Roger. There's a whole plethora of things. I usually recommend running the compressor at about a 3. It's a token amount, but it starts the fattening process. Just engage the compressor and run it at about a 3, Roger.
Roger that. Well, if that can make my audio sound half as good as yours sound, well, I'll be quite pleased then.
Well, thank you, sir. And then always keep in mind checking in the ALC when you make those changes, because you want to keep that AO3 from being at about mid-scale to 2/3. You want to run your ALC at about mid-range, mid-scale to 2/3, and you can adjust that by mic gain. So you would adjust your mic gain to where your ALC is running mid-scale to 2/3, Roger.
Yes, roger that. This particular mic has a switch on the back, I know as well. I think it's just very simple HL. I believe it's high or low.
Well, you want to flick it and we'll see what it does.
I will do that. Here's how we've been talking for the last few minutes, and here comes the flip. Okay, this is with the switch flipped. This is switch flipped. Did you copy any audio difference?
Yeah, I think that's a low-frequency roll, and I don't think you need it. I think you sounded better the way you were when we first started talking, Roger.
Roger that. We're back to where we were when we first started talking.
Roger that, yeah. I would suggest maybe if you get a chance to go by your music store, pick up a windscreen that would just fit over that mic. Solves a multitude of problems without creating any, Roger.
That is a good idea, and actually I have my own sort of recording studio here. I'm an ex-musician from years ago, and I probably have a couple windscreens lying around.
Roger, yes. Just takes care of many problems that exist. Sometimes people QRM themselves, that they get more disturbances and distortions in their microphone than the words that they're actually speaking. So in a way, they are QRMing themselves, Roger.
I can understand that, yes, sir.
Alrighty. And what was the name again, please?
The name is Rick. Short for Richard.
Roger, Rick. Well, let's see. I got to get out of here. The wife's got plans for me. So let me say threes to you, sir. You have a real good weekend, Butcher.
And you as well, Jim. I appreciate you coming back, and I will track down the audio in the next few days. And I think my wife is stirring something up as well. N4 RAH.
Roger, Rick, threes that way, sir. And that will conclude our Friday afternoon QSO-VLOG network. We've enjoyed it since 3:30, and hopefully, all things being equal and the creeks don't rise, we'll see you next Friday at 3:30 where we do it all again. So between now and then, threes, have a great weekend, and we'll catch you later. And this is KC9VKV. We'll be clear.